When you invest that much money in a film, of course, there's a lot of risk involved. Fortunately, we have an interesting marketplace in that there's been a great expansion in the number of film screens worldwide, particularly in emerging markets. China, a great example of that. And so while it's always risky to spend this much money on a film, there are more opportunities to monetize it. But it also says a lot about quality. This film was a film that was rated by moviegoers at A+, created huge word-of-mouth buzz. People liked the film, told other people, and so on and so on. And that became a global phenomenon, and that's why we crossed $700 million in such a short time.
Well, I want to talk to you about some of these emerging markets that I know you're very eager about, but this movie also represents a number of different revenue streams for Disney. It's not just box office receipts that are so important. Tell us about that and why that'll continue to be a revenue stream for Disney.
Well, we look at films like this as potential franchises. What we mean by that is that they are monetizable not only in their original form movies, but we now have the ability through multiple digital platforms to give people access to them. This also has a big consumer products line behind it that we believe will continue for years ahead. That's merchandise sold around the globe in a variety of forms. It has games potential. We have a very successful social game that we've launched for Marvel's Avengers. And of course there's a TV series on one of our kids channels for the Avengers. And so there are just many, many opportunities, and there are great opportunities to mine this great character set. So we're making Captain America 2 and Thor 2 and Iron Man 3, and announced on our earnings call shortly, just moments ago, that we were in development for an Avengers sequel. So you can bet that there is going to be many different ways that Marvel's Avengers appears in the marketplace across the world in the years ahead. The
recent trip you made to China, obviously that has to be a growing market for not only Disney, but for many companies around the world.
Yes, it's a great market for Disney. Our biggest project internationally these days is the development and construction of Disneyland Shanghai, which is going to occupy a pretty large piece of land in the Pudong area of Shanghai and will open in the latter part of 2015. We're extremely excited about this for many reasons. There's great interest in Disney in China. That's evidenced by the success of Hong Kong Disneyland, where over 40% of the people who go there are from the mainland. 330 million people live within a 3-hour commute to Shanghai, and so the marketplace there is pretty large, and we're really excited about what it is that we're developing. So we anchor our strategy to grow in China with a theme park, which is a pretty big and effective way to anchor growth in a market.
I think you just explained, what was partly a growth rate of 18% due to parks and resorts. I mean, is that something that Disney can continue to do, not just only in China, but in other countries around the world?
Well, there's a yes and no to that. We are expanding Hong Kong Disneyland. We're building Shanghai Disneyland. We've had a successful park in Japan for 25 years. We've got a park in France that's grown in importance and size and success over the last 20 years. So we've got a pretty big footprint internationally already, and plans to expand a lot of that space that I just described. Whether there are opportunities for other parks around the world, I guess the answer to that would be yes, but there aren't many, and we're going to walk before we run, meaning let's build Shanghai Disneyland and make sure that that's up and running and successful before we contemplate putting down stakes in another part of the world. But clearly there are opportunities.